Now, with all due respect, Mont Saint Anne is an incredible mountain bike destination with a rich history of jaw-dropping downhill race performances. However, we decided to commit a day of our trip to riding at Mont Saint Anne, and it left me with a little bit to be desired. I have seen so many insane videos of the World Cup downhill races here, which gave me pretty high expectations for this famous park. The gondola is comfortable and got us up 2,000 feet fairly quickly and delivered stunning views of the St. Lawrence River. But once we started off on the green and blue trails, I was kinda confused. We took La Grisante, the green trail, for a while, and it was basic as you'd expect. So we turned on to La Baptime, hoping it would turn up a notch, and it did, but I felt like for a blue trail it wasn't much different from the green. The features were very far apart and awkwardly placed on the side of the trail, so I felt like you would be carrying decent speed for a bit and then have to guess, am I going fast enough for this random side gap? If you didn't go for these side gaps, you would hardly get any airtime on La Baptime. Now I'm sure La Baptime would have been more fun with some practice, but I was disappointed that the trail was so hard to read. I expect a bike park blue flow trail to be easy to read and allow most intermediate to expert riders, such as myself, to find and clear the features for the most part on their first or second run. Each run is about 5 miles, which is amazing, but we did 4 runs and each run took about 40 to 50 minutes to complete, with the gondola ride taking 15 minutes. Factor in the filming of some clips and stopping for lunch, and pretty soon the whole day is gone. Also, the clips I'm showing are just the highlights, but almost every trail requires a decent amount of riding on the ski slopes or double track to traverse to different areas, which I know is common on bigger mountains, so don't expect all 5 miles to be purpose-built trail. Before we get on to La Vietnam, the first black trail we tried, I just want to say that I'm not trying to say that Mont Saint Anne is a bad place. There's clearly a ton of work and dedication that goes into improving and maintaining this park, but I just want to be honest about how I felt when I only had 3 days of riding in Quebec and kind of wished we went somewhere else. I would say you should absolutely come here if you want to test your skills on some double black tech, because there is a ton of it, or if you just need a park day to rest the legs from climbing at some of the other world-class trail systems near Quebec City, like Empire 47 or Sentier de Moulins. Keep in mind, the bike park is $65 for a lift ticket, while the trails in the St. Raymond area are less than $25 for the day, with some having shuttle road access included. After a short bit of La Vietnam, we decided to branch off to La Tourde, which was a good choice. It was mostly techie rocks and roots with some smoother berm and jump sections here and there. The difference from La Baptime to La Tourde was quite stark, and by that I mean a couple things. You can ride La Baptime completely through and not have to commit to any kind of technical rock garden or crest a decent tabletop, since almost all the jumps on La Baptime are off to the side and are rock kickers half the time. Then you might think, okay, La Baptime is getting easier, maybe I'm ready to step it up to one of the black trails, since there is no other blue trail, flow or tech for that matter. Well, then your only option is La Vietnam and La Tourde, which have awkward berms to technical rock kicker gaps and extremely committing rock gardens and chutes. Not to mention tons of foot or so drops after slippery roots where the trail has eroded away. Now, I did enjoy La Vietnam and La Tourde, but my issue is that La Baptime, and especially not La Grisante, warm you up or prepare you for any of the black trails or above. From a jump perspective, there is no extended section of well-built jumps and berms where the trail dictates your speed appropriately and continues to set you up for the next jump, like we experienced so beautifully at the Kingdom Trails in Vermont. Then when it comes to technicality, there is nothing particularly technical about the green and blue trails that ease you into what La Vietnam and La Tourde can serve up for several miles, especially if it is wet. In my 10 years of riding, I have visited 4 other bike parks: Mountain Creek, Greek Peak, Windham, and Bryce Bike Park, and I am not much of a park rider, but I do know what it feels like when a trail system builds the intensity and technicality of its trails in a linear fashion. Mont Saint Anne for me just did not have the progression of trails that I was hoping for, and didn't give me much confidence that I could trust these trails. But for some people that's great. It's a curveball, and it keeps you on your toes. For me, on a road trip, it just wasn't my cup of tea, and I think I'm starting to realize that I would rather find the cool trails that are in regular trail systems with great terrain and building that are pedal access. Our previous day at Vallee Bras du Nord left us absolutely speechless with just 2 runs and less than 1,500 feet of descending. If it weren't for the crazy density of world-class trails within an hour of Mont Saint Anne, I'm sure I'd be singing a different tune. Now, Mont Saint Anne does have a ton of pedal trails to the east of the mountain, so we did try our luck at traversing across the mountain to try one out from the top of the gondola. We took a trail that I can't even pronounce but is labeled number 27 on Trail Forks for a while until we hit number 51 trail and took that down pretty much all the way. Unfortunately, that was kinda meh and not worth even including in this video. I'm sure there are better routes to use the chairlift and get over to the enduro side of the mountain, but man, a lot of the traversing we did was like wide double track with a ton of baby head rocks sticking up, and you can tell water runs down these sections a lot. Needless to say, I'm sure with some proper planning and watching more YouTube videos, I bet you can utilize the lift and do some pedaling to get some really fun and long runs that are 80 to 90% descending. Our one run of the east side was literally 7 miles from top to bottom, which is pretty nuts. So that rounds out my experience at Mont Saint Anne. Since we didn't really feel like checking out any double black tech, we did get to ride most of La Vietnam twice, and I was starting to feel a little bit of confidence on the route drops and trusting how flat out you go flying through some chattery rocks. I want to reiterate that from a bike park facility standard, Mont Saint Anne is extremely impressive. It's a beautiful place, plenty of parking, nice gondola, great view at the top, pump tracks at the base of the mountain, decent food trucks, and I was even a sucker and bought a $70 Mont Saint Anne crew neck sweater so I can be a poser. However, I think one thing speaks for itself. We only stopped for a break once after a few hundred feet of descending on La Vietnam, where I was finding some flow through the tech, and we all looked at each other, and I said that was sick. At 27 miles and 8,000 feet, I only had that feeling once. With that, I conclude this video by saying, if you have the time, check out Mont Saint Anne for yourself and see if you like it. But if you're pressed for time, stick to the famous trail systems in the area that seem to be adding insanely unique and challenging trails every season that are extremely well maintained and cost less than half to access. You just need to put in that effort to get to the top, and I don't know how much you hate climbing, so with that, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and remember, stay venturing, my friends.